Hello everyone, welcome back. In previous classes, we have designed the API, we have published to the exchange, and after that, we have sent this to the feedback to the client. So we have done the first part of our API life cycle. We have designed using the API designer. After that, we have simulated using the API console and the exchange. It means we have tested the API. After that, we have published to the exchange. After that, we have sent this to the feedback to client. We have given the URL, or we have given the published API exchange one to the client. They have validated and they have come with the some modification. What is the modification they want? Let's discuss. So once the client will ask that we need some modification, what are the design you are providing? That is not enough. We need some modification. Then again we are going to start designing. Again we are going to simulate, and again we are going to give the feedback. And after that, again if client is saying that we need some more modification, again we are going to design, simulate till the time that client is satisfied. Then after that we are going to build the API using the AnyPoint Studio. So let's see what the client has told to us. If you see, earlier design was like that. We are getting the employee detail using the employee ID and the year. And if employee is present, then we are fetching the rating of the employee, and if employee is not present, we are not getting the required. But there was one problem here. We are not able to see whether the employee has left or not, because if employee has left the organization, if employee is new joining, then he will be not in the database. He or she will not be in database. If employee will be present in database, there will be two scenario: whether the employee is currently working in the organization, or employer has left but we have not deleted it from the database. The client want one more query parameter as a employer type, active or resigned or left. You consider it left. Again, in the post method, client want, instead of sending this 4 detail while the creating for new joining, instead of creating this 4 detail, client having the database with the 5 column: employee ID, employee name, employee rating, and employee year, the year of in which year we are rating, and the employer type. But if you see here, here currently we are sending 4 column: employer name, employee ID, employer rating, and the year. But they want to send one more: employer type. So again, in the delete method, that is find in delete method, if we get the here this employee ID in the get method is not left the organization, then we are going to delete that employee using the URI parameter. That is fine. This case 3 is fine. In again case 4, they wants to send one more column as a employer type. So let's first modify our requirement document. Here they want also as a EMP type. One minute. Equal to active. Employer type, either it will be active or it should be a left or inactive. That will depend later. Okay. There will be two type of employee: either it will be a active or it will be a non-active. Active means he is currently working. Non-active means or non-active we can write left. Left means he has left the organization. Okay. In the post method, they want to send one more column like that. They want to send as also as a employer type. Let me introduce the employer type here. And let me, yeah, okay, again here it should be a comma. Now let me copy this and let me paste in the put also. Okay, now my requirement document has been completed, but this is the requirement document only. They are wanting after the modification, they expecting this after validation. They want this modification. They want to introduce one query parameter while getting the method, and they want this to be mandatory while checking this query parameter. And also they want, while the post, they want employer type and put employer type. So let's go to the API designer. This is the API designer, and let's review the code and let's try to correct the code. Let's first correct the query parameter that we have. We are going to introduce the query parameter as a employee type, and it should be active. So let's, currently you can see, currently we are making employee ID is a mandatory. True means mandatory. This field while passing, while hitting this base URI with the C source, in the query parameter, employee's ID should be mandatory to pass, but year is not mandatory to pass, it is false. But they want, while passing the query parameter, they want to keep employer type to be mandatory. So let's introduce the employer type. Okay, let me write here is a emp type. Okay, and let me write here the, whether it is, what should be type. Employer type, of course it should be a string, and after that we have to mention whether it is required or not. So it is required. We want client want this to be passed while passing the query parameter. An example we can mention here as a active. Further, while building this API, we are going to modify this and we are going to pass many situations. Okay, now this is done. Let me here, let me, it is not, should not be example, it should be example. Okay, now it is done. So we are done with the first demand that they have told, that pass the employer type as a query parameter, and in the first, in the under the detail resource, under the get method, we have added the employer type as a query parameter, and it should be true, that is active. Okay, now second demand, we need to go to the post. In post, they want one more parameter to be passed, that as a employer type. So let's introduce the employer type. Let me copy from here itself, because this is going to be same. Okay, and let me write here itself. Okay, and in example also it should be employer type. Let me write here employer type. Employer type to be active. Okay, before that it should be comma. Now it's done. Where it is, but here it is coming some error. So let me see. Okay, some indentation is not correct. Let me correct the indentation. Employer type should be here and type should be under here. Let's correct the indentation. And example should be okay. Now example should be correct. What is giving error? Of course it is a string. Okay, that is correct. Okay, let me correct the indentation. Okay, just 1 minute. Let me correct. So I have corrected an indentation. You can see I have mentioned here as the employee type. Under employee type, I have mentioned it should be string and it is required, of course. And in example, I have mentioned it is a active. And again in the example, I have included this employee type here. Okay. Now similarly, this post method is done. In post method, we have included this employee type. Now let's include in the next method, put method. In the put method, we are going to include the employer type. So let's go to the put method. In put method, here we have came and here we have also include the employer type. So let's go back and let write emp type. Okay, and let's enter. It will come auto suggestion here to give the type. Select the type and type should be string, of course. Let's click enter. It will come as a auto suggestion as to required. Select required as a true, of course it is required. And let's select the example. In example, let's give the example as a active. Now let's go back, okay, and give here, mention here the example that you mentioned above. Okay, mp type. Okay, and now let's write here as a okay. Now it's done. So you can see we have completed all the requirement as per the client. As per the client requirement, we have completed all the 3 steps. First step to pass in the query parameter as active. Second, as a in the post we need to include the employee type as active, and the put also we have to include input type active, because client have a table which includes the 5 column, but earlier we were sending 4 column only. So now it's time to test whether it is working fine or not. So this is completed. Now to test it, go to the API console. This is the API console, and let's go to the API console and select the method, that is the get method, and select as a mocking service and try it. You can see here it is coming to these two as a star, employee type as a star and the employee status as a active as a star. These two parameter is mandatory. Whether you can also pass the year also, but it is not mandatory. Now let's send it. You can see it is coming successfully response. Now let's try the another method. Let's go to back to document and try the another method as a post. In the post method, let's select the mocking service first, and let's try it. In the post method we are sending the this response, this request, and we are okay, let me, and you can see in the post now we are sending as a employee type as active. You can see earlier it was only 4, now we are sending. Let's click on send. Now you can see we are getting the response as a thank you for rating your employee. Okay, now select black to go docs, and let me select the another method as a put, and in the put method let's select the mocking service, and let's click on try it. And now you can see this is called the put method. So again in this also we are going, earlier we were sending only 4, now we are sending also as a employee type as active. Okay, now let's click on send. Now you can see we are sending it. Okay, this is done. Now we have successfully tested all the scenario. Again we are going to publish this to exchange and going to share to the client. Let's publish to the exchange. Click on publish. Now this time I am going to select, earlier it was a version as a, earlier it was like that 0. Now this time I am going to select this as a 1 because this is a another version. Now click on publish. It basically takes a few moments because it is publishing to the exchange. Now it is published. Let's go to the exchange and go to the exchange. Now you can see this is my the API that I have published. Just click on the API. You can see it is updated 24 seconds ago because I have updated few seconds ago. Now this, if you go in the under the details, you can see these all 3 method is there, and in get you can see all the thing is mentioned here. Employee type is also is mentioned. You can see in the put method you are also going to see in the employee type is also mentioned. You can see the, from here you can also try to send and you will get request. You can see you can try it. So if you click on the manage version, you can see now it is showing as a 2 version. Earlier my version was 1.01. Now the latest one that I have published is the 1.01. So see here from here you can see what was the earlier version and what is now version. You can see from here itself. Okay, so that is the one of the important feature of the this exchange, that anyone can see what was the earlier version, that is the 1.01, and what is the current version that is new published, and the version that is currently in working, that will be look like as a mocking, that will be look like as a mocking service because currently we are testing as a mocking service. Okay, so that is the important feature. Now again we are going to share this link to the client, and after that they are going to validate it, and they are going to give us a feedback that now we are okay and we are happy with the solution. Now let's go ahead with the building the API. Okay, so after that we are going to build the API with Anypoint Studio. So let's see on the next class how basically we can build the API in Anypoint Studio. Thank you for watching the video. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe it.